Good morning, everyone. I wanted to show you this about Google. So this is Patrick Moore, former founder of Greenpeace, but not anymore because he crossed AOC and Google. He tweets, quote, "At AOC, pompous little twit, you don't have a plan to grow food for 8 billion people without fossil fuels or get food into the cities. Horses? If fossil fuels were banned, every tree in the world would be cut down for fuel for cooking and heating. You would bring about mass death." And he says, "Oh my, Google has removed my photo and my name from the founders of Greenpeace. It was still there 2 days ago, but now I am erased. Tech tyranny. First image is a few days ago, screenshot. Second image is this morning. Both were Googled. Who are the founders of Greenpeace?" So, and here is, the picture. There it is. So before, right, Patrick Moore. After, no Patrick Moore. Interesting. And he says in other conversations, I was looking through Dr. Moore's Twitter threads, and he says, "Perhaps you don't realize that consensus is not a valid concept in science. It is a social political word. In science, it only takes one Copernicus, Galileo, Newton, Mendel, Faraday, Darwin, or Einstein to discover the truth. A million can be wrong and one can be right." Okay? And that is how science works. Like, your iPhone works because computers work, and computers work because of all of the work done by scientists up to that point. Right? And there are theories and mathematical equations that go into that. It's not a mistake. It's a repeatable thing. It works. It works when you turn it on in your office. It works when they turn it on at the universities. It works every time. It's repeatable. And therefore, it is based on solid science. This isn't something that you can wave away, right? Like, you can't say, well, maybe they were wrong, because they weren't wrong. Like, you're using technology built on the shoulders of giants. And misunderstanding that is this generation's very, very large blind side, I think. Like, they don't see that they're disregarding generations of giants, right? And we're basing our current technology levels on those giants. And again, you can't hand wave that away. And again, you can't claim consensus when the truth comes out, right? Consensus is right. This is a hamburger. Well, we're really hungry. Well, this is still a hamburger. Yeah, but it's not going to make me not hungry. It's going to kill me, actually, if I eat that. So it's not a hamburger, right? We can all pretend until the thing that it's designed to be, it doesn't do that thing anymore, right? We can all agree it's a hamburger until we can't eat it for sustenance. Okay, moving on. So here's the Vancouver Sun reporting, Douglas Todd, who cares about winning the immigration debate? And all of policy has become a debate in the media. It's about who wins the hearts and minds of the public, and if the public gives consent by either not showing up to vote or by voting in Justin Trudeau en masse, then they've given their consent, right? And so winning the immigration debate that's what they're talking about here. It says, quote, "Not many Canadians are extremists, either for or against current immigration policy or rates. The bulk of the population seems hazy about Trudeau's plan to continue to increase immigration levels to 350,000 people per year." Now, I want to put this into perspective, this number. It was 250,000 under Stephen Harper. 250,000. In the last year of Stephen Harper's term, 2015, Justin Trudeau was elected in the election that year, and they brought in 10,000 more Syrians in the end of the year. So they, in 2015, had a 260,000, but through most of Harper's years, it was 250,000 people per year. The population of Prince Edward Island is 150,000 people in 2018. The population of Newfoundland and Labrador is 525,000. The population of New Brunswick is 770,000. Bringing in 250,000 people per year is like bringing in a new PEI, more than that. It's a lot of people. And I often talk about infrastructure. We don't have the roadways because people, when they come here, they're going to get a car because you need a car to survive in Canada. And especially when you're talking about cities in the GTA region, maybe not downtown Toronto, but most people who are arriving here aren't necessarily all living in downtown Toronto unless they're living in hotels. So they're going to have a car. They're going to have extra people, right? where are these people going to go? England, if you've been to England, the United Kingdom feels crowded, stifling, lineups everywhere, lots and lots and lots of people. This is because of unchecked migration. And that is coming here unless we stop it and stand up and say no. But this article, anyway, is saying that people don't know, one, how many people are coming in, and two, when they find out, they support it less. So isn't that interesting? Here's the article. Politicians and corporations that want more immigrants in Canada are mounting marketing campaigns to, quote, win the immigration conversation. At least the CEOs, think tanks, and civil servants are upfront about aiming to promote higher immigration levels, which align them with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. Where, however, does this leave all the Canadians in the mushy middle? That's where most Canadians are, according to Immigration Department officials and other migrant experts who spoke at the Conference Board of Canada event held last week in Vancouver. The gathering was titled, quote, winning the immigration conversation. Not many Canadians are extremists, either for or against current immigration policy or rates. Polls suggest the bulk of the population seem hazy about Trudeau's plan to continue to increase immigration levels to 350,000 per year by 2021, up from 260,000 when he was elected in 2015. My sense is most Canadians are not eager to either win or lose the immigration discussion. Most of us don't think immigration boils down to an either-or option. Some of us mostly want to know what's going on so we can be informed at the ballot box. But as some speakers at the conference board event noted, Canada's politicians and mandarins are almost unique in the obscure way they dictate the country's powerful immigration policies from behind closed doors. Karim Al-Assal, the senior immigration director for the conference board, asked me to speak at the, quote, winning the immigration conversation conference, so participants would not end up in the usual echo chamber in which everyone basically agrees with each other. Al-Assal has seen my 2017 story on the clubby atmosphere that reigned among more than 1,000 Canadians who work with immigrants, refugees, and international students and attend Montreal's Metropolis Conference. My article on that gathering was headlined, quote, the narrow view from migration sector bubble. So I give credit to the corporate-sponsored conference board, a booster of high immigration levels, for welcoming diversity of opinion. It turns out some scholars and even some civil servants had their own skepticism about Canada's immigration levels, which are arguably the highest per capita in the world. That means between our population level and our immigration level, that's the highest, right? There are other countries maybe with more numbers, but that's because their population is so much more than us, right? The United States has a massive population compared to Canada. Some states have almost the population of Canada. We have a 37 million person population, and the state of New York has 22 million people, just for an example, okay? So that's what they're talking about. I told participants, back to the article, I told participants I'm intrigued by the philosophy's two foundational questions. What is real, and how then shall we live? And I bring those questions to Immigration Matters. What I've discovered in recent years on the migration beat is the vast majority of Native Canadians, and to a lesser extent immigrants, don't have a grasp on what is real about the increasing global migration of people, particularly into Canada, and it's understandable. Even though the Conference Board has launched its own campaign for increased immigration, Al-Assal reveals data showing most Canadians don't have the foggiest idea about a basic issue: how many immigrants come into Canada each year. Only 9% of Canadians know correctly it is between 150 and 300,000 annually. What's worse, Al-Assal said, when Canadians learn how many immigrants are actually entering the country, their support goes down. Quote, the populists may have a point. Angie Ellerman, a political scientist at UBC, told the conference board gathering, quote, Canada has a high degree of immigration policy making behind closed doors. The immigration agenda has, quote, traditionally been dominated by the government and civil servants and rarely engaged the public in meaningful ways. In addition, the complexities of immigration rules are not often covered by the media. That is unfortunate. That is an unfortunate case, even though, for instance, almost half the population of Toronto and Vancouver are foreign-born. I'll say that again. Almost half the population of Toronto and Vancouver are foreign-born. That's incredible. Those are capital cities of, Toronto and Vancouver. I believe Vancouver is the capital city of British Columbia, and Toronto is the capital city of Ontario. So is that incredible? That is incredible to me. Our concern is that that if Canadians are purposely being kept in the dark about immigration developments, and even opposition politicians are afraid of raising the subject for fear of being labeled xenophobic or racist, how can the host society make wise choices about an issue that has defined the country? Turns out many Canadians are concerned. Only 45% believe immigration is, quote, good for the economy, according to a new Ipsos poll. Another 57% believe, quote, immigrants place too much pressure on public services, but the health of the transit, be that health or transit systems. And almost 60% can't say government is hiding the true cost, or sorry, almost 60% say government is hiding the true cost of taxpayers to taxpayers in society. Immigration officials are not alone in finding the past couple of years that there has been a shift among Canadians about immigration. This is part of the reason Ottawa has launched a promotional campaign called #ImmigrationMatters. Wonderful. Its public relations effort is getting out stories about immigration successes, especially at the neighborhood level. Not a discouraging word will be heard from #ImmigrationMatters, of course, since it will support a major plank in this year's Liberal campaign. However, Ellerman is among those who think it unwise for governments in Canada, Europe, or elsewhere to ignore the populist voices that worry about immigration. To do so, she said, could feed anti-immigration radicalism. UBC economist Professor David Green offered the audience some data-based realities about immigration. One finding takes issue with frequent claims by Immigration Minister Ahmed Hassan that high immigration is the key to economic prosperity. Green highlighted how immigration has almost imperceptible effect on long-term Canadian wages, not doing anything at all for per capita income. And although boosters of strong immigration frequently maintain it is absolutely necessary to counteract an aging Canadian labor force, Green studies show that its effect is minimal, almost non-existent. Immigration numbers would have to jump multiple times over to make even a small dent in the growing portion of seniors in Canada. Green said, in addition, most people who obtain citizenship status in Canada soon try to sponsor older family members to join them, so it's increasing the aged population as well. I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. It finishes by saying, in a democracy, the public could use as much information as possible about migration policy and trends. Who knows what would happen if Ottawa became more transparent? Reality has a funny way of surprising all of us. And yeah, I would find it very interesting what would happen if the numbers were widely known and we could have a robust public debate and talk about our changing and the changing face of Canada and whether that's what we want to do. Because is that what we want to do? Is that what was promised in the 80s? That we would fundamentally change the social fabric of our country and not be allowed to talk about it? Is that what was promised in the 80s and 90s? Because I don't think so. I was in high school. I don't remember hearing anything about that. I remember touting all of the benefits of multiculturalism, right? But not the draconian silencing of free speech. That wasn't mentioned. And the final story for this morning, this is updated on Friday, and of course Mr. Trudeau has to shuffle his cabinet because Ms. Philpott resigned, right? So you can't just leave that post empty heading into an election, so he has to shuffle his cabinet. But 3 cabinet shuffles in 3 months doesn't look good on any prime minister, and having an RCMP potentially investigate your government is also not good. And when I say government, I mean the prime minister's office and the inner circle of supports and advisors to the prime minister. Those are the people being investigated for, obstructing justice and, all that fun stuff. So very interesting. Mr. Trudeau is still presiding over an absolute dumpster fire of a government that has shown it is incapable of dealing with any crisis. And it looks like they're walking around with paper bags on their head and ignoring absolutely everyone's direction in favor of their own, twisted ideas of what's right and wrong. It's really strange. Like, if I grew up a woman and she experiences it differently, that's her problem. If I pressure the Attorney General and she experiences it differently, that's also her problem. Except Trudeau maybe broke the law, so looks like his problem. Anyway, just so interesting to watch all of these very, very fraught, any one of which would have taken down a conservative government, things all coming to a head all at once. And I can't wait for the Norman trial to join the fight. It's like watching Mario Bash Brothers, or I can't remember the name of it, Super Mario Bash Brothers, where they've got all the characters and you beat everybody up. It's like watching that. It's like another person has joined the fight to beat up on Trudeau. Please, I hope it's enough. Okay, thanks for watching. Sorry I got a little rambly during the middle of this one here. It was I don't know, turns of phrase caught me off guard that I didn't expect. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out thepeoplespartyofcanada.ca.